The grocery store on Dunbar Street was quieter than usual for a Thursday afternoon. The rain had come in off the coast that morning and hadn't decided to leave, and most people in the neighborhood had apparently chosen to wait it out. Patrick Carter noticed this the way he noticed most things. Without comment, without particular feeling, just as a fact of the afternoon. He had come in for coffee and butter. He left with neither because his daughter found him in the second aisle and asked if they could stay a little longer. "There's a man," Lily said. She was 7, and she said most things the way 7-year-olds say them. Plainly, without preamble, as though the world owed her a listener. "He keeps putting things back." Patrick looked up from the shelf. "What man?" "Down there." She pointed toward the far end of the produce section, past the stacked oranges and the bins of loose onions. "He put back the crackers, and now he's putting back the soup." Patrick didn't turn to look. Not yet. He had learned, over many years and in many different contexts, that looking too quickly at a person who didn't know they were being watched was its own kind of intrusion. "People change their minds about things," he said. Lily considered this. "He doesn't look like he changed his mind. He looks like he's counting." Patrick looked then. The man was standing at the end of the aisle near the canned goods, holding a tin of tomato soup in one hand and what appeared to be a small notepad in the other. He was somewhere in his mid-50s, Patrick guessed, with gray at both temples and the kind of posture that had once been upright and was now carrying something heavy. He was wearing a clean jacket. That detail registered. The jacket was clean and pressed, but it was also the kind that had been worn enough times that the elbows had started to go thin. He set the soup back on the shelf. He didn't look around to see if anyone had noticed. "Can we talk to him?" Lily asked. "No," Patrick said. She accepted this without argument, which surprised him. Then she said, "Why not?" Patrick picked up his basket and moved them along to the next aisle. "Because he's busy," he said, "and because sometimes people need to be left to their own things." Lily walked beside him in silence for a moment. Then, "But what if his own things are too hard?" Patrick didn't answer that one. He didn't have a clean answer for it. And he'd long since stopped offering his daughter the kind that weren't. His name was Walter Aldrich, and Patrick didn't learn that until 40 minutes later. He had stayed longer than the coffee and butter required, moving slowly through the store with Lily, who had decided she needed to inspect every variety of apple available, and explain to him which ones were acceptable and which were not. He had been doing this, listening to her apple taxonomy with the patience it deserved, when he saw the man again near the self-checkout machines. Walter Aldrich was standing at the machine with 3 items on the small scanning platform: a bag of rice, a tin of sardines, a small carton of eggs. He was feeding bills into the machine with the careful attention of someone who had counted them before he came in. The machine rejected the last bill. It did this twice. The bill was old, the corner slightly soft, and the reader didn't want it. The man smoothed it against the edge of the platform and tried a 3rd time. The machine rejected it again. A woman behind him in line shifted her weight. She didn't say anything, but she shifted it. Patrick watched the man look at the bill in his hand, then at the machine, then briefly at the line behind him. That look lasted less than a second. It was the look of a person doing a fast and private calculation about how much of themselves they were willing to show to strangers. He stepped out of the line. He picked up the eggs first, and then some sardines, and he set them both in the small return basket near the machine. He kept the rice. He fed the bill back into the machine, and it accepted it this time. Lily was holding Patrick's hand, and Patrick felt her grip tighten. She was watching the same thing he was. The man took his receipt and his rice and walked toward the exit without looking up. Patrick stood there for a moment. Lily looked at him. He looked at the door. "Die, no," he said. He left Lily standing near the end of the checkout lane. "Don't move, I mean it, 2 minutes." And he went quickly to the nearest aisle, picked up a carton of eggs and a tin of sardines, came back, scanned them on the self-checkout, put them in a small bag, and was through the exit in under 3 minutes. The man was in the parking lot, walking toward the bus stop at the corner of Dunbar and 27th. He didn't have a car, or if he did, he wasn't using it today. Patrick caught up to him near the edge of the lot. "Excuse me," Patrick said. The man stopped and turned, and Patrick saw his face properly for the first time. He had steady eyes, the kind that had seen enough that they didn't startle easily. There was no alarm in them now, only a measured attention. "I think you left these inside," Patrick said. He held out the bag. The man looked at the bag. He didn't take it. "I didn't leave anything inside," he said. His voice was even. Not hostile, simply precise. Patrick had expected this. He hadn't decided what to do about it. "You're right," he said. "I'm sorry, that wasn't honest." The man said nothing. My daughter saw you in the store, Patrick said. She's 7. She asked if your things were too hard. He paused. I didn't have a good answer for her. Something moved in the man's expression, barely. Not softness, exactly. More like recognition. Your daughter sounds like a perceptive kid, the man said. She is, Patrick said. She gets it from her mother. A bus came to the corner and idled there. The man looked at it, then back at Patrick. I don't take charity, the man said. It was not said with anger. It was said the way a person states a fact about themselves that they have thought about carefully and arrived at deliberately. I know, Patrick said. I didn't bring these to give you charity. I brought them because my daughter asked a question I couldn't answer. And I think the honest reason I followed you out here is that I wanted to do something that felt less useless than saying nothing. The bus doors opened. That's a fairly honest reason, the man said. It's the best one I have. The man looked at the bag again. He did not take it, but he did not walk away either. The bus driver waited with the particular patience of city transit, which is not very much patience. Walter Aldrich, the man said. Patrick Carter, you work around here? I live around here. I'm a structural engineer, mostly commercial. Walter nodded, a small one, as though he were filing this. I was in logistics, he said. 22 years with the same company. They restructured last March. He said it without inflection, the way a person describes weather they had no control over. I have interviews. 3 this week. That's good, Patrick said. It's what there is, Walter said. The bus driver released the doors and they sighed shut. The bus pulled away. Patrick stood there holding the bag. Walter stood there without the bag. The rain had thinned to a mist and neither of them had an umbrella. The eggs will get cold, Patrick said finally. Walter looked at him for a moment. Then something in his face shifted, slightly, towards something that wasn't quite a smile but was in the neighborhood of one. Cold eggs aren't a problem, he said. No, Patrick agreed. I suppose not. He set the bag down on the low concrete barrier near the bus shelter. Not toward Walter, not extended in his direction. Just set it down, like someone who had finished carrying something and needed both hands for something else. Then he went back inside to find his daughter. Lily was exactly where he'd left her, which had not always been something he could count on. She was also talking to a store employee, a young woman with a name tag that said Priya, about whether or not Fuji apples were actually better than Gala apples, or whether that was just marketing. Priya appeared to be genuinely engaged in this question, which said something good about her. Dad, Lily said when she saw him, Priya says Honeycrisp is the best one, but they're more expensive because of something called a patent, and I think that's kind of unfair. It is kind of unfair, Patrick said. Did you talk to him? Yes. Is he okay? Patrick thought about this with the seriousness it deserved. I think he's managing, he said. He seems like someone who knows how to manage. Lily thought about this too. Then, did he take the food? I left it near the bus stop. She nodded, as though this were the right answer, even though he wasn't sure it was. He wasn't sure it was the right answer at all. He had replayed the conversation 3 times already in the space of walking back through the sliding doors, and he still wasn't sure whether what he'd done was genuinely respectful or just a more comfortable version of giving up. He bought the coffee and the butter. He let Lily choose 1 Honeycrisp apple, which she accepted as a reasonable compromise. In the car, she was quiet for the first few minutes, which was unusual for her and usually meant she was working something out. Dad, she said as they turned onto 16th. Yeah, when you put the food down, did you look back to see if he took it? Patrick kept his eyes on the road. I didn't. Why not? He thought about it. Because that part was his, he said. What I did was my part. What he did with it was his. Lily was quiet again. Then that seems lonely. For both of you. He didn't have an answer for that either. He drove the rest of the way home with the particular silence of a person who has been accurately diagnosed by someone much younger than them. 3 weeks passed. Patrick didn't think about Walter Aldrich every day. Some days he didn't think about him at all. But on certain mornings, usually the ones that started with rain, he found himself doing the fast mental calculation that people do about strangers, wondering if the interviews had gone anywhere, whether the restructuring had led to something else, or just more of the same waiting. He didn't have a way to find out. He hadn't given Walter his number. Walter hadn't asked. Once, did you ever see the man from the store again? He'd told her no, and she had moved on to the next thing the way children do, fully and without residue. Patrick ran into Walter Aldrich on a Tuesday in November, in the parking lot of a different grocery store entirely. The one near Granville, which Patrick only used when the Dunbar one was out of something specific. He was getting out of his car when he recognized the posture first. The same upright with-weight quality, the same measured walk. Walter was going in. He was wearing the same jacket, or one very similar to it. Patrick almost said nothing. He stood by his car for a moment, considering whether the coincidence was something he was supposed to act on or simply observe. Then Walter saw him, and the decision was made for them. Walter stopped walking. He didn't look startled. He said, "The engineer?" "The logistics man," Patrick said. Walter's expression shifted toward the neighborhood of the smile again. "Former," he said. "As of 6 weeks ago, technically current again. Different company. Less travel." Patrick felt something in his chest settle that he hadn't known was tense. "That's good," he said. "It's what there is," Walter said. "Then, it's better than what there was." They stood in the parking lot for a moment in the particular way of two people who are not sure whether their relationship is the kind that extends to conversation or the kind that ends at acknowledgement. "The food was gone when I came back," Patrick said. "From the bus shelter." Walter looked at him steadily. "I know," he said. Patrick waited. "I didn't take it at the bus stop," Walter said. "I left because the bus was there." He paused. "When I came back to get it, it was gone." Patrick took this in. "Someone else took it." "Someone else took it," Walter confirmed. Neither of them said anything for a moment. "That seems about right," Patrick said finally. "It does?" Walter said. "Yeah, it does." There was a beat, and then Walter said, "Your daughter, the perceptive one." "Still perceptive," Patrick said. "Tell her the answers worked out," Walter said. "The ones that felt too hard, she'll want to know how. Tell her it was slow," Walter said. "And then it wasn't." He nodded once, a clean and unhurried nod, and went inside. Patrick stood in the parking lot for another moment. The rain was doing its usual thing. He had come for bread and ended up standing in a parking lot with something he couldn't quite name. Not quite relief, not quite resolution. Something that sat more quietly than either of those. He went in, he got the bread, he drove home. That evening, Lily asked him what he'd done that day. The way she always did at dinner, fork in hand, with the expectation of a real answer and not the kind adults give when they aren't paying attention. He told her he'd run into someone. "Who?" she asked. "A man I met at the grocery store. A few weeks ago." She put her fork down. She was looking at him the way she looked at things she was trying to fully understand. "The man from before?" "Yes." "Is he okay now?" Patrick thought about the parking lot, the jacket. The way Walter had said it was slow, and then it wasn't, with the precision of someone who had sat with that sentence long enough to know it was true. "He's managing," Patrick said. "Better than before, I think." Lily picked her fork back up. She ate for a moment. Then she said, "Did you tell him about the food? That you left it at the bus stop?" "I did." "What did he say?" "He said someone else took it." Lily considered this with the full weight of 7 years of experience. "So someone else got it," she said. "Yes," she nodded. Not sadly, not with particular emotion, just a nod, the way you nod when something fits. "That's still good," she said. "Right?" Patrick looked at his daughter across the table. Outside, the rain was still at it. The kitchen was warm and smelled like the soup he'd made that afternoon from the last of the week's vegetables, the kind of soup that doesn't have a recipe but always comes out fine. "Yeah," he said. "That's still good." Lily went back to her dinner. Patrick went back to his. The evening moved along in the quiet, ordinary way of evenings that don't ask anything of you, and he let it.